Brittany Griner is a man. Well, come on now. This is another conspiracy situation, but you see this picture. No shirt. It's apparently an old photo.
If indeed it is true, the trade is still scandalously stupid, but it becomes a scandal of an entirely different level if it isn't.
She was running that jail in Russia. She was running it.
Matt Walsh just dropped a bomb. He says he's got what looks like actual locker room footage of Brittany Griner, footage he claims finally proves what people have been whispering about her for years. This isn't the same old topless pool videos floating around online. Walsh swears this is different, way different. He says this new clip shows everything, and if it's real, it could blow up not just Griner's career, but drag the WNBA, the NBA, and even the White House straight into a mess they won't be able to walk away from. And he's been hyping this since the day Griner was traded for Victor Bout, the infamous merchant of death.
Indication that this negotiation is foundational and could lead to greater communication with Russia up to and including about Ukraine?
So look, Walsh has been saying from the start that her release never made sense. And now he's calling this footage the proof he's been waiting to unleash. If he's telling the truth, this isn't just about Brittany anymore. This could be about the entire machine that's been protecting her. Everyone remembers how Griner's release sparked outrage. She was flown back home before Paul Whelan, a Marine still trapped in Russia, and before teacher Mark Fogel, someone barely anyone even mentioned at the time. And yet, the U.S. still handed Victor Bout, one of the deadliest arms dealers alive, back to Russia in exchange for her. The clip of Griner being swapped for Bout is still one of the most replayed moments online. Watching a basketball star walk free while veterans and teachers were left behind has never sat right with a lot of people. And this is exactly why Walsh says the math never added up.
This release culminated after an extraordinary amount of hard work by many people just across the U.S. government, as I just laid out early on, and our national security team, obviously. It was about securing Brittany's release, pure and simple. That's what this was about. That's what this particular action was about. As we've stated numerous occasions, the U.S. government engaged with Russian government through every available channel to bring Griner and Paul Whelan home.
I assumed that was the case from the beginning. I assume it because I reflexively disbelieve everything this administration says. Also because a Griner or no one offer from Russia makes it easier on the White House. Okay, Russia would actually be doing the White House a favor by saying, we'll give you her or we'll give you nobody. Because it just makes it a simpler choice. But Russia's not interested in making things easier. It puts Biden in a more precarious and politically difficult situation to make him choose which American he wants. And so it just makes logical sense that Russia would prefer to put him in that situation. Especially because they likely knew that he would humiliate himself and his country by extension by choosing the lesbian basketball player over the Marine.
On his show, he claimed this deal wasn't about justice or diplomacy at all. It was about saving the WNBA's biggest star at any cost. He says the league couldn't afford to lose its only headline name, and that's why he believes the White House caved. Backlash be damned. But here's where things take a sharp turn. Walsh says this new leaked footage is the missing piece of the puzzle, the thing that explains why Griner was treated as completely untouchable through the entire ordeal. He claims the government wasn't just protecting a basketball player, they might have been protecting something much bigger. Even before this alleged footage came into the picture, Walsh was pointing out how the WNBA treated Griner like she was in a league of her own.
Some of us were immediately suspicious about the reasoning behind this decision. This was especially the case given the fact that other Americans like former Marine Paul Whelan, schoolteacher Mark Fogel, were left to languish in Russian labor camps while the basketball player was brought home.
And let's be real, other athletes, even the biggest names, have been punished hard for far less. Remember Sha'Carri Richardson? She got banned over a cannabis violation. Serena Williams got dragged just for wearing a catsuit on the court. Even WNBA players have been slapped with fines for tiny things like uniform violations. And no, we're not just talking about the t-shirts they wore during protests. WNBA players literally got fined for wearing shirts that said, "Pay us what you owe us," just for speaking up about how low their salaries were. Walsh lays it all out. He's straight up calling calling out the Biden administration, saying the deal to bring Brittany Griner home never made sense from the start. But here's where things take a sharp turn. Walsh says this new leaked footage is the missing piece of the puzzle, the thing that explains why Griner was treated as completely untouchable through the entire ordeal. He claims the government wasn't just protecting a basketball player, they might have been protecting something much bigger. But Griner, she protested the national anthem and still became the most promoted face in the league. She was front and center in every major marketing campaign the WNBA could land, while other players were left behind. Walsh says this isn't just star treatment. This is the league moving mountains to protect the one player they believe can keep the ratings alive, even when everything around her is drowning in controversy. Now, this is where things go from whispers to full-on panic. Walsh isn't talking about recycled leaks or fuzzy screenshots anymore. On his show, he said this new footage isn't just another topless pool clip everyone's already seen floating around. He claims this one is different, way different, and according to him, it leaves zero doubt about Brittany Griner's gender. Those rumors have been floating around online for years, but nothing ever really stuck.
And as you may expect, it's got a lot of people asking the same question. Is that really a she? Now that I think about it, it kind of makes sense that when she was in Russia, that they decided to put her in a men's prison.
Walsh says this clip changes that completely. He's not giving specifics about what's actually on it, but fans online are already in a frenzy, speculating everything from a secret shower camera leak to straight-up locker room footage. And here's the kicker. Walsh hasn't released the video yet. That's making everyone wonder if he's just building insane hype or waiting for the perfect moment to unleash it. One fan even broke it all down on TikTok, saying this explains everything, especially since Brittany was placed in a male prison while in Russia, a detail the league has barely addressed, and fans have been side-eyeing for months. Meanwhile, Reddit threads are exploding. People are saying, if this footage is real, the WNBA won't be able to hide behind silence anymore. Some are convinced Walsh is holding it back on purpose, timing the release to land right in the middle of the WNBA playoffs. So the fallout is impossible to ignore. And here's where it gets really wild. Walsh holding on to this alleged video might be the only reason the league hasn't said a single word about the rumors, because the second he drops it, this stops being casual gossip and becomes a full-blown crisis. That's why this situation is so dangerous. Walsh dangling this footage doesn't just make Griner a target, it puts the entire WNBA in the crosshairs. Before even touching on how this could personally wreck her life, here's why the league is absolutely panicking. Brittany is the WNBA right now. She's their identity, their marketing, their ratings lifeline, and if this story explodes, the entire league could go down with her. Aside from Caitlin Clark, Brittany Griner is the WNBA right now. The Russia return, the tear-filled White House visits, the redemption speeches, the endless highlight reels. Every single narrative the league has pushed for the last 2 years has been built around her.
All the exposure that you gave me, my family, to get me home. I really appreciate it. That coverage was much needed.
Just look at her emotional interview after coming home, breaking down in tears while talking about resilience. That's the image the league has been selling nonstop. But if she's exposed now, all of that starts to look like one giant con. And when fans feel like they've been lied to, they don't just shrug it off. They go nuclear. Here's where it gets even worse. If Brittany has been competing in a women's league without meeting the gender requirements, lawsuits would hit instantly. Players who lost bonuses because of her dominance, teams that missed out on championships, and brands that poured millions into her image. Every single one of them would come after the league for compensation. And that's just the start. Because once the sponsors bail to protect their own reputations, the massive new TV deals the WNBA just locked in, gone overnight. But the fallout doesn't end with money. The league didn't just market Brittany as an athlete, they turned her into a political figure. As everyone knows, the White House was directly involved in bringing her home and presenting her as a symbol of strength and perseverance. If this blows up, critics won't just come for the WNBA. They'll accuse the government itself of helping to bury the truth. That's when you start seeing congressional hearings, culture war headlines, and relentless media firestorms dragging the league into a fight it simply can't win. Remember White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre speaking on how important Brittany's case was at the time? That kind of public backing now becomes political ammo for anyone wanting answers. And don't forget about the locker room chaos. If this video is real, players won't just be shocked. They'll feel like the entire league betrayed them. This isn't just a scandal waiting to happen. It's a complete implosion in the making. Players won't just be angry. They'll be furious. Some were benched, others cut, and some may have even gotten hurt going up against Brittany Griner. Just watch this clip of rookie Sonia Citron draining a three, only to get absolutely flattened by the 6'9" powerhouse. Clips like that are exactly why players could argue they were put at risk. And here's the real bombshell. If it turns out league executives knew about this and hid it, boycotts, mass walkouts, and stars demanding Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's resignation would almost be guaranteed. The trust between the players and the league office would shatter in an instant, and the damage would be irreversible. But the worst part? The cover-up. If Walsh really is holding this footage, everyone will assume the league knew first. And if Engelbert or anyone in WNBA leadership buried the truth, that's not just a scandal. That's lawsuits, investigations, and the end of multiple high-powered careers. Because once fans believe they've been lied to about Brittany, every single controversy the league has brushed off over the years comes roaring back. The blatant favoritism, the questionable officiating, even the Candace Parker payout rumors. All of it would resurface with a vengeance, and the WNBA would stop looking like a growing brand and start looking like a corrupt, rigged operation. And here's a twist no one saw coming. Walsh holding this alleged clip might not even be about exposing Brittany anymore. It could be leverage. Think about it. If he drops it now, it would torch the entire league instantly. But if he holds on to it, that makes him the most dangerous man in women's basketball right now. Fans online are starting to suspect exactly that Walsh could be bleeding the league behind the scenes. If he knows this footage is their absolute worst nightmare, he also knows they'll do whatever it takes to keep it buried. And that's where things get even darker. This could mean hush money, inside access, or even WNBA executives quietly feeding Walsh other dirt just to keep this clip locked away. Why would he burn his one nuclear weapon now, when he can make the league sweat and possibly trade it for something even bigger? Walsh straight up calls the Griner swap a stupid move, saying she hadn't even been held that long compared to others left behind. It's comments like this that have fans convinced he's baiting the league while holding something far more explosive in his back pocket. And the longer this drags out, the more it feels like something shady is going down in the shadows. Fans online are already posting. The silence is loud. Too many coincidences are piling up for anyone to ignore. If the WNBA suddenly starts bending to Walsh on other controversies or narratives, people will connect the dots instantly. But there's another chilling angle. He might be timing the drop for maximum destruction. Dropping it on a random Tuesday? Sure, it would get clicks. But dropping it during the WNBA finals, or the exact week Caitlin Clark headlines a record-breaking game, that would cripple the league in real time. It's the kind of bomb you save for a moment when it can't be ignored, not a time when it can get buried under other headlines. And if he's holding out for a stage that big, the WNBA is in serious trouble. Just look at this recent showdown between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Packed with fans, cameras flashing everywhere, media swarming the court. Now imagine if Walsh unleashed the footage right then. The league wouldn't be able to bury the fallout. It would be front-page news everywhere, instantly blowing up into a global scandal. Holding that footage doesn't just crank up the tension, it could pull more people out of the shadows. Former execs, ex-players, and even current stars who've been pushed aside for Brittany might see this as their moment to finally speak out. Once people know there's already proof in Walsh's hands, one leak could snowball into a full-blown takedown with multiple angles the league can't spin their way out of. And waiting only makes the WNBA more likely to screw up. If they panic and start releasing vague statements, overhyping Brittany in desperate ad campaigns, or even trying to threaten Walsh behind the scenes, that just hands him even more ammo. Every misstep they make in the meantime would make fans believe him more when the footage finally drops, if it drops. Because here's the chilling part. There's a growing theory on TikTok and Reddit that Walsh might not even plan to release it at all if the right payout or backroom deal lands on his table. Whether it's a direct buyout to bury the footage or a controlled release through a major media outlet, just teasing its existence keeps him trending, keeps the league terrified, and most importantly, keeps him out of a lawsuit for now. But it gets worse. Walsh could be waiting for Brittany or the league to hand him the perfect setup. If she scores another massive endorsement deal, or the WNBA doubles down on using her as the face of a major women's empowerment campaign, dropping the clip right after would completely obliterate any chance they have to spin it as old or irrelevant news. That's why Walsh's silence is even more dangerous than the footage itself. Every day he holds it, the league's paranoia grows, the fear spreads, and the possibility of this turning into a multi-layered collapse gets more real by the second. And if the NBA gets dragged in as the WNBA's biggest backer, the entire basketball world could be rocked like never before. Every single day Walsh doesn't release that footage, the tension ratchets up even higher. Sponsors are on edge, players are restless, and fans are dissecting every single statement from the league like it's some kind of secret code. And here's the kicker. Brittany's release from Russia wasn't just something the WNBA begged for. It went all the way up the chain of command. The previous administration and top officials inside the White House personally made sure sure she came home, even while Marine Paul Whelan and teacher Mark Fogel were left sitting in Russian cells. And the U.S. still signed off on trading her for Victor Bout, one of the most dangerous arms dealers on the planet. Walsh has been relentless about this point. He keeps hammering that there were other Americans locked up in Russia for far longer than Brittany, and that makes the deal look incredibly suspicious. Back then, the government sold it as a diplomatic victory, a story of perseverance and hope. But if this clip drops, that entire narrative flips upside down overnight. Suddenly, critics will argue the government chose to protect the WNBA's biggest star over veterans and teachers. And worse, that they may have even buried the truth about who they were trading for just to make the deal happen. And you know what happens when politicians smell blood? They move fast and they move hard. The league wouldn't be the only one under siege. The White House itself would be pulled into the firestorm. Congressional hearings, political opponents demanding investigations, media outlets tearing apart every detail of the swap. It would get ugly, fast. That's why the silence is so dangerous. One video release wouldn't just devastate the WNBA, it could blow open one of the most controversial prisoner trades in U.S. history and leave powerful people in Washington scrambling for cover. This would hand every critic in Congress exactly the ammo they've been waiting for. They'd launch hearings, haul league executives into depositions, and rip apart every single decision that led to Brittany Griner's release. Suddenly, this isn't just a sports scandal anymore. It's a full-blown government scandal. And everyone who helped rebuild Brittany's image as a national hero, they'd look like they were part of the cover-up from day one. If Washington ends up looking complicit, this stops being about one player. It becomes proof, at least in the eyes of the public, of how far the people in power will twist facts and bend rules to protect a brand, even if it means hiding the truth from everyone. Right now, every single person tied to this, the league, the sponsors, even top officials in D.C., are holding their breath. Walsh hasn't posted the full video. He hasn't denied it's real. He hasn't said a single word, just silence. And every day that silence stretches on, the panic gets worse. Because if he actually drops this clip, it's not just Brittany whose career is over. The WNBA could be crushed by a scandal it might never recover from. The NBA, its biggest financial backer, would be dragged into the fire too. And the people in Washington who signed off on that Russia swap, they'd be right in the crosshairs with nowhere to run. At this point, it's not even a question of if Walsh will leak it. It's a matter of when and what else he's holding that nobody's even seen yet. Because if he's not bluffing, the second he drops this, it won't just be Brittany watching her career go up in flames. It could be the WNBA, the NBA, and some of the most powerful people in Washington going down with her.
And that's why you cannot miss what's coming next. So make sure you hit that like, smash subscribe, drop a comment with your thoughts, and share this with everyone who needs to know what's really happening behind the scenes. I'll catch you on the next one. You're not going to want to miss it.